In the vast icy reaches of Alaska's wilderness, where the wind sings in lonely, mournful tones and the land is a frozen ocean of white, an old bull moose stood at the edge of a half-frozen river. His breath came in slow clouds, his ribs faintly visible beneath his shaggy winter coat. Once, he had been the giant of these valleys, antlers like a crown, body like a moving wall, but age had thinned him, and the long winters had taken their toll. He had been searching for food all day, pushing through drifts that swallowed his legs to the knees, when he heard it, a faint cracking beneath him. The ice groaned in warning, but his hunger drove him forward toward a patch of exposed river grass. One more step, and the world gave way. With a thunderous crack, the old moose plunged into the freezing current. The icy water stole his breath instantly. The weight of his sodden fur and muscle dragged him down, his sharp hooves scraping helplessly against the slippery ice edge. He bellowed, a deep, guttural sound of fear and rage, but the river's grip was merciless. For minutes, he thrashed, each attempt to heave himself onto the ice ending in another collapse into the freezing black water. His strength, already meager, began to fade. His great head dipped lower, nostrils barely above the surface. It was the kind of slow, cold death the Arctic had perfected over millennia. But the moose was not alone. From the distant slope of a spruce-covered hill, a shadow moved. Then another. And another. Emerging from the tree-line came a pack of wolves, 7 in all, their thick winter coats dusted with frost. Their amber eyes locked on the scene below. To the moose, wolves were death incarnate. He had faced them before, antlers lowered, charging to scatter their ranks. But these wolves did not charge. They stood at the river's edge, their breath steaming in the frigid air, watching in tense silence. The alpha, a massive gray male with a scar splitting his muzzle, stepped forward, his ears pricked. He paced along the ice edge, testing it with a paw. Behind him, the pack shifted restlessly. The laws of the wild were simple, weakness was opportunity. And yet, something stayed their hunger. Perhaps it was the moose's age, the futility of the struggle, or something older and deeper in the threads that connect life in the wild. Whatever it was, the alpha turned his head and gave a short, sharp bark. The others moved in. They fanned out along the ice edge. One young female darted ahead and crouched low, testing the ice closer to the moose. It cracked ominously, but she didn't retreat. Instead, she began pawing at the edge, chipping at the brittle lip of ice where it curled upward from the current. The moose bellowed weakly, but his fight was almost gone. The alpha stepped closer. With surprising care, he gripped the matted fur of the moose's neck in his jaws, not to kill, but to pull. His muscles rippled under his thick coat as he leaned back, paws digging into the snow. The ice moaned and fractured further. 2 other wolves joined in, biting at the heavy fur along the moose's flank, pulling in unison. The old bull lurched forward an inch, then another. His forelegs scrabbled weakly at the ice, finding fleeting purchase. The wolves pulled again, short, heaving jerks, until half his massive chest was over the ice. But it wasn't enough. Then the ice beneath the alpha gave way, and with a yelp, he plunged shoulder-deep into the river beside the moose. For a heartbeat, chaos erupted, the current seized both animals, dragging them toward a jagged opening downstream. But the pack reacted instantly. 3 wolves lunged forward, grabbing the alpha's ruff, pulling with savage urgency. Another grabbed the moose's ear, a painful, desperate anchor, as the alpha, still in the water, shoved his shoulder under the moose's neck, lifting with all his strength. The river fought to claim them both. At last, with a sound like the tearing of cloth, the moose's massive body slid free of the water, collapsing onto the ice in a shivering, gasping heap. The alpha scrambled out behind him, his fur streaming water, his sides heaving. The wolves stepped back. No triumphant howls came, no circling of prey. They simply stood, panting, their breath white against the dusk air. The moose lay still for a long moment, steam rising from his soaked coat, before he staggered to his feet. His legs trembled, but they held. From the ridge above, unseen until now, a lone man lowered his camera. Ranger Elias had been tracking this wolf pack for months, documenting their hunts, their rituals, their endless dance with the seasons. What he had just witnessed defied everything he thought he knew. He waited, expecting the wolves to turn on the moose now that he stood, weakened and vulnerable. Instead, the alpha glanced back at his pack, gave a low chuff, and they melted into the trees without a sound. The moose, side still heaving, watched them go. There was no pursuit. Only the creak of the settling ice and the soft hiss of falling snow. Elias waited until the wolves were gone, then made his way down to the riverbank. He approached slowly, his voice low and calm. The moose regarded him with wide, dark eyes, but did not move away. Elias scanned the bull's body, no broken legs, just exhaustion and cold. From his pack, he pulled a thermal blanket and wrapped it awkwardly over the animal's massive shoulders. It was absurd, almost laughable, a man trying to warm a creature that could crush him, but it was all he could offer until help arrived. He radioed the wildlife rescue team, giving coordinates and details. Then, crouched on the frozen bank, he simply stayed, keeping watch as the bull stood beneath the blanket, steam curling from his nostrils. When the rescue team arrived, the moose was sedated and loaded for transport to a sheltered rehab facility. He would live, thanks to an intervention as wild and inexplicable as the land itself. Elias never forgot the look in the alpha's eyes as he stepped back from the ice, leaving the moose alive. It was not mercy as humans define it, not charity, not pity, but something older, deeper, and shared. A recognition, perhaps, of the weight of years, the price of survival, and the unspoken truth that in the great web of the wild, strength sometimes means choosing not to kill. The story would become a legend among those who work the far north, a reminder that the lines we draw between predator and prey, hunter and hunted, are far less absolute than we imagine. Out here, even the fiercest laws of nature have room for moments of grace.